let me ask you on the economy in Wichita and how the neighborhoods have changed. How does some of the successes and failures appear to you today?
Well, just driving here, Ninth Street at Grove. Haven't been by there in a while, and I see the construction going up. And I remember that was kind of it was a crack alley there. It was nothing but bars with nothing but crack being sold. And so I see that. I see along 21st Street here with the addition of everything that's gone on there. You don't have near the issues that was in the 90s. There needs to be a lot more work done on the Broadway corridor because we've been fighting those same problems you're still fighting today for 30 years.
Yeah.
But
you had some success in the 90s,
yes.
right?
Yes.
What was done? What was the before and after?
Well, community policing, plain and simple.
So they funded cops to go in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And going in there and building those relationships with the business owners who then said, hey, here's our biggest issues, and it was drug dealing and prostitution. And then doing projects not only to enforce the law, but to try to get those prostitutes into services to help them get out of that lifestyle. There's just not been a lot of economic dollars put into the Broadway corridor area like there has in some of these other places. So we started shifting the problem from South Broadway to North Broadway. We'd do the project there, they'd shift into some of these neighborhoods, and it just would move around. And I know if you want to talk about it a little bit, you put more emphasis on the Broadway area again to try to uproot that problem. So how's that been successful?
Good. Well, so community policing, the cops know the players, they know who's doing what. All of society's ills, that's a microcosm of every problem we have. Blown up. You know, I really think a lot of it has to do with just the high concentration of those low-income hotels. I looked at some of the successes before, and I think that was a great model. It just takes people.
Dedicated,
and to sustain it. You know, the thing that a lot of people don't think of is cops as economic developers. It's all about crime and how safe they feel. And we know that when we deploy cops right and have enough of them, that it has an impact. So trying to sell that and get people to buy into it and fund it is kind of where we're at right now.
And you hit on it exactly. I mean, from an aspect of economic development, law enforcement is a key piece of that. And you hear that from city council members to commission members to other politicians and that's why sometimes they start making phone calls when they see upticks in different crimes and stuff, because they know they're trying to attract a business or trying to attract something else, and that's one of the first things they look at because they're going to be bringing employees in. They want their employees to feel safe, and so that does put a lot of pressure on law enforcement.
Heard from people from out of town, out in rural areas that get worried about their safety coming to Wichita, and which, I kind of laugh when I hear it, because the reality is that our crime rate is low, and that people getting injured and hurt or assaulted or robbed it's people that know each other, not random crime.
I live out in Sedgwick County, and so even Sedgwick County residents are like, oh yeah, I'm not going to go to that area. I'm like, it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because we don't have a lot going on here. The media covers every one of those kind of events, so the perception is, oh, Wichita's bad. But when you compare it to other cities our size and not even close to the big cities, I mean, I've never really looked at Wichita as being unsafe.
Right.
And definitely don't now. The burglaries, that's the biggest issue we face, is burglaries and larcenies. We don't have a lot of violent crime out in the county. And all of those are random. Most of our crimes are associated with drug abuse.
Yeah.
And right now it's methamphetamine, which is just driving everything.
And the same people over and over.
Same people.
30 to 40% of our calls involve some type of mental health issue, and it greatly impacts you as well.
Yeah. I'm happy with what we've started to develop and move towards with a mental health community collaborator and a substance abuse coordinator that's going to be working tightly with all the stakeholders to come up with a strategic plan on how to address both issues at the same time. Although they are separate, they're intertwined as well, to move forward with hopefully reducing your call load and reducing inmates in the facility and actually getting treatment done.
Right.
So that's an issue that's very important if we're going to see any drops in crime rate, in my opinion, those
Yeah.
two issues.
You never would have thought years ago that the police department would have to have a team that works on finding people housing, stabilizing mentally ill, and it's kind of sad that we're at that point where the cops are the only ones that are standing, well, not the only ones, but I mean that the ones that we have to stand up, and as law enforcement officers, we're doing this more of a social type work to keep people safe and get them stable.